Welcome to the Endless Honeymoon Podcast. It's the favored couple of comedy. Do you think we're the most beloved couple in comedy?
We did get a lot of free food last night.
That's right.
But it was funny. Like they were like, "Oh, we really love you too." And then you could tell the waitress, she started giving us free food, but she didn't know who we were. And then the other guy came over. Someone told him we were VIPs, but no one knew exactly who we were.
Is this relatable to the listeners? Do you often get a VIP fried chicken brought to your table at a Thai restaurant?
No, you know what I think happened is one person, maybe a cook or some waiter was like, "Oh, those people have a podcast."
Yeah.
But then all the other people were just kind of like, "Here's more free stuff." But you could tell they didn't really.
Well, we kept saying, "Oh, wow, this is so amazing. Thank you." And the woman goes, who's serving us, she was so sweet, but she goes, "Yeah, you guys are special?"
Yeah,
she didn't know. She didn't have a clue. Natasha,
but you know what? More free fried chicken. I'll keep doing the podcast forever.
Speaking of being special, Natasha, you took me out on a very hot date night last night. You got me a massage and didn't get one yourself, which I just didn't even understand. I loved it. Listen, I loved it, but I was like, what did I do to deserve this?
Well, I was trying to do a date night. But I'm sure it's from my people-pleasing instincts.
Oh.
Is it like so tight living with someone who is like a compulsive people-pleaser?
No, and not in any way. Here's the thing about people-pleasers, and I think we've discussed this before, and I think you know this, Natasha. People-pleasers, they are doomed to fail because their instincts are telling them to try to please people in ways that those people don't want to be pleased. It's never actually what I want.
Oh, really? You didn't want to have a massage yesterday?
Okay, that's fair. Tucci. As they say in Italy, tucci. Tucce. That was dope. But what I'm saying is, in general, the mark that the people pleaser is trying to hit is not actually the mark that pleases the person. It's the mark that allows their panicked inner child to not feel like they're disappointing daddy. You know what I'm saying?
That is a really good way of putting it. Because I'm a compulsive people pleaser, and I've been reading this book, The Body Says No, not The Body Keeps Score. They might be similar. This one's less about abuse and more about like how your body, you can actually get sick from your behavior. And one of the things they say is that if you're in a position as a people pleaser to choose resentment or guilt, you should choose guilt. Guilt is way more healthy. For example, your mom's like, "Oh, I want to come visit." And you're like, "Okay," even though it's a terrible time for you and your family because you don't want to let them down. Then they come and then you have resentment. Or your husband's like, "Hey, can I get both things I want on the menu and then we'll just share them both?" And I go, "I really wanted this shrimp, okay."
So wait, what?
So then I would have resentment the whole dinner, as opposed to, "No, you know what, Moshe? I really want to get my thing." I would feel a little guilty. But
I get it.
Ultimately, that feeling of guilt, which I want to learn how to have, is better than having stored up resentment because you're saying yes when really you don't want that. You're just afraid to say no.
Well, okay. I have two thoughts on that. One, that's exactly an example of what I'm talking about, right? So we're at a restaurant and I say, "Oh, what if we get the two dishes and we could both share?" And you're like,
and you have a lot of food restrictions.
And your response to that is, "Oh, I should get the thing that I don't want," and be resentful because he said he wanted this thing. But actually what I want is for you to be happy. More than anything else, more than the two dishes, by far more than getting the two dishes to share. I want you to be happy.
You want me to not be a bitch for the dinner.
Well, that's another way of saying I want you to be happy. But no, seriously, I say, "Oh, what if we got the pad thai and the chicken fried rice?" And I'm not saying, you're hearing, or the people pleaser is hearing, "Please, let's get these two dishes. If you don't get these two dishes, I'll be upset and I won't enjoy my dinner." But actually what I'm just doing is saying, "Oh, here are two dishes that I would like." If I had the information, okay, well, we can get those two dishes, but I'm not going to enjoy my meal and I'm going to be upset at you for suggesting it. I would say, "Oh, no, I don't want that. I want you to get whatever you want. I was just throwing this out there." So that's a perfect example of the people pleaser trying to please the person, but in fact not doing the thing that would please the person in the first place, which is get the dish that you want.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like you wouldn't be upset if you didn't have a happy, fun meal that got all the...
Exactly what I'm doing. I'm telling you that I wouldn't be upset if we don't get the 2 dishes that we can share. And when I'm throwing it out there, I'm not saying, let's get these 2 dishes or I'll be upset. I'm saying, like anybody would be saying at a restaurant, hey, what if we got these 2 things? Like, I always think, like, what if I was just one of your friends and you were out to eat and your friend goes, what if we get these 2 dishes? You go, nah, I'm in the mood for the steak. Your friend's not going to be like, what? I don't eat steak.
Every single time, without fail, especially with friends, if they're like, do you want to split the scallops? I hate scallops, but I'm like, okay. But, always, every time. I'm like, that sounds great.
But
because I just feel like I don't really care that much. I'll have a bite of a scallop.
But see, this is what I'm saying. Put yourself in the position of the friend where you're the one that says, hey, do you want to split the shrimp? And your friend says, I'm not a big shrimp fan. What possibility is there that you're going to be like, okay, then I guess we won't split the shrimp even though it's what I wanted? 0%, right?
I mean, using the food analogies does make it not seem like that big of a deal, but it really does seep into your life because you're constantly doing things that make other people happy and not caring for yourself.
But this is my actual grand point of this whole thing, is it's not making people happy. It's your perception of what would make them not unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about people pleasing. You're not really trying to make people please people. You're trying to make sure no one's ever unpleased with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing.
And why is that?
Well, I don't know about that.
You don't have it.
I don't give a fuck about people. I want what I want. But I do give a fuck about you. And what I want is for you to be happy. I would much rather share a lone plate of vegetarian pad see ew with no egg than have 2 perfectly quaffed plates for my dietary restrictions and have you go home resentful and not enjoy it. In fact, one of my least favorite feelings when we go out to eat is when we get a dish and you taste it, because you're much more fussy than me. I mean, in some ways. What I'm saying is you will not eat something if it's not fully 10 out of 10 delicious.
No, that's not true. But if I don't like something, I don't just eat to fill my stomach.
And I do. One of my least favorite feelings is when we order something and you get it and you don't like it and you don't eat it. And I'm like, oh, let's order something else. Let's get something so that you can get it. And you go, no, it's fine. I hate that. That doesn't please me.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to start feeling really guilty around you. And I'm going to start
There we go.
Putting
now we're talking.
Natty legs first.
Put Natty legs first.
What does she want?
What does she want?
Give her a hug. Ask her what she wants. Do what she wants. Don't say yes when you really mean no. I don't really want to do that.
Don't get the scallops. Don't get the scallops if you don't want the scallops. On the other hand, you should be open-minded to anal.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
You're out to dinner
Yes.
with Jeff Bezos.
Okay, Jeffy B.
At his house.
Yeah.
No, let's make it. You're at a restaurant.
Okay, we're not at
and
Jeff's
he's like
what restaurant?
A super fancy restaurant is only for the bees.
Is he paying?
The billionaires. Of course he's paying.
Okay, Jeff's paying, yeah.
And he's like, oh man, you gotta try this jidori chicken, bro. It is amazing. Now you eat chicken, but you already saw there was this branzino you really wanted.
Okay.
If Jeff Bezos was like, you want to split this chicken with me? It's so much I wouldn't be able to eat it on my own. What would you say?
1,000%. I'm saying that sounds great, Jeff. I really wanted the jidori chicken, but that's not a good analogy because
that's how I treat everybody. I treat everybody like they're Jeff Bezos. So I'm like, oh my God, if you want to have the branzino, then I'll split it with you or whatever it is.
Well, there's a lot of problems with this analogy. First of all, if Jeff Bezos or even Brent Weinbach said this jidori chicken's the best item on the menu, I'm like, I'm getting curious because that jidori sounds good. No, but leaving that aside, I'm trying to impress Jeff Bezos. Listen, I want to clarify to the listeners, we are like gigantic Amazon heads. Like we're freaks for Amazon. We love the company. We love its ethics. We love everything about it. We love Jeff's new wife. But no, if I'm out to eat with Jeff Bezos, theoretically, I'm trying to impress him on some level. I'm not out to just hang out with him. He's not just my homie, right?
So you're saying in that situation...
I'm sure I'll attempt to, divine what the target bullseye is for him to greenlight my Amazon Prime show. But that's not where you're at with your friends. And
so in your argument, if someone can help you in your life or your career, then you do people please them and you do.
I mean, what my argument is that you shouldn't be treating your friends and family like somebody you're trying to impress, like someone you're trying to make sure never gets mad at you.
What if it's Hollywood and your friends, it's kind of like, well, they're friends, but we also work together. And
no, honey, no. There's a power dynamic differential between you and Jeff Bezos or you and, the head of A24 Pictures or whatever, where it makes a little bit of sense that you're like kind of shuffling to try to, make them see you as cool.
Honestly, it would be so much more charming if the head of A24 was like, hey, Natasha, do you want to split this jidori? And I was like, oh my God, I would love to, but this shrimp looks so amazing.
Well,
I'm just going to get that.
Let's play the tape. The head of and is it, let me really ask, is it A24 or A24? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Someone does. I was corrected by Andrew Michon once. Anyway, what is the possibility? The head of A224 is like taking you out to eat, and he's like, oh, do you want to split the jidori chicken? You're like, I'm not really in the mood for chicken. And he's like, okay, I'm not going to be making that film because she didn't want the jidori chicken. It's not possible. It's not a possibility.
But I'm just saying that's when my people-pleasing instincts really come out. If someone has a lot of power, or if someone they're already there with my daughter and my husband, but then if it's like in a situation, I'm like, I want everyone.
But it's a failing, losing proposition because you don't know what they want. Maybe what they want is to come away from that dinner like, wow, that chick really knew what she wants. She does not like scallops. That means she will know the right choices when it comes to the script that we're developing. Or maybe they want somebody to go like, yeah, I love chicken. You don't fucking know. So why try to guess? Why try to guess? I'll tell you what I want. I just want praise, affection, and a little bit of bedtime. You know what I'm saying? That's all I need.
Praise, affection, and sex. Is that what you're saying?
Praise, positivity, affection, sex. I think we're good. Oh, intellectual stimulation and just a little bit of butt play.
I need luxury, love, attention, mental stimulation,
finger stimulation,
finger stimulation, and huge cock.
Well, you've come to the right place. Can't believe you didn't mention a clean house.
That was part of luxury. Luxury is actually like, beautiful surroundings.
Luxury is a state of being.
Luxury is a state of mind, bro.
For those of you looking at the footage on YouTube, Natasha does have one tit out underneath the frame of the camera. Oh, she doesn't.
My dress is supposed to be one shoulder off.
It's erotic, and I'm loving it. Speaking of erotic, we've got a caller on the line. I don't know if they're in an erotic dilemma, but I feel like whatever happens, it's going to be a turn on. Shall we toss to the call?
Let's TTAC.
Hey, Tosh.
Yeah, Moshe.
With our Endless Honeymoon podcast tour coming up, we're going to be in the RV for a long time, and I am so excited to have a bunch of tempo meals to put into the refrigerator so we have less to think about, less stress.
Listen, as we roll into summer, keeping up healthy eating habits can become challenging amidst barbecues, road trips, and a very packed schedule with children.
Like tours.
Tempo makes staying on track effortless, offering delicious, calorie-conscious meals crafted from real ingredients, cooked and ready faster than you can pack your beach bag.
What's cool about Tempo is, it's quick, yes, but it's delicious. And if you have dietary restrictions, which I do, they've got a meal for you. They've got protein-packed, calorie-conscious, carb-conscious, fiber-rich. Don't think of this as like the TV dinner era from your parents. Think of this as a modern version of eating healthy and delicious.
Tempo's perfectly portioned lunches and dinners take the guesswork out of eating well, are fully prepared, and can be heated in the microwave in just 3 minutes. So for a limited time, Tempo's offering my listeners...
Yours?
Our listeners.
Thank you.
60% off your first box. You can go to tempomeals.com/honeymoon.
That's tempomeals.com/honeymoon for 60% off your first box.
tempomeals.com/honeymoon. Okay, well, I'm excited. This is a couple. So let's talk to Tilly and Austin in Portland.
Maybe they'll have some thoughts on people pleasing.
Tilly is a good name. It's short for something cute too, like Matilda or
something. Hi. Actually, we can find out. Tilly, we have a
Tilly.
Very important question. What's Tilly short for?
Matilda?
It's actually long for Tylee. It's just spelled wrong.
It's not long for Tylee. It's the same length as Tylee. It's Tylee. Your name is Tylee.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we solved the mystery.
I truly thought it was Tilly.
No,
yeah, it looks like that.
What's up, guys?
Oh my God. So your whole life, this is Moshe's dream. His whole life, he's had to explain to everyone how. I have friends who I've been friends with for 2 years who call him Moshe.
Well, Moshe is my name.
No, it's not.
This is the thing. Tylee, what's your name? Tylee?
Rhymes with Kylie and Miley.
The problem with our names, both you and I have a name that is probably incorrectly spelled.
Oh, mine is very
Moshe's not even.
Well, it is correctly spelled. It's just that it's this like soft E that doesn't really exist in English. And so no one's ever gotten it correct, like ever. And so it's just the cross we have to bear. It probably made us cooler people, right, Tylee?
The coolest. I have to explain every day what my name is.
It's not some boring phonetic thing like Natasha or Austin. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, what's up?
Well, so we just got married.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and it was pretty much the perfect day, except for my maid of honor was kind of just like gone the whole time. And so the reason for it is she knew this guy from high school, and she was like, oh, he does film, like actual film prints of like photos, and he does like magazine style stuff. And weddings are expensive, so we're like, sure, free service. And as soon as he got there, I did not see her the entire time. Like before, when we were kind of waiting before the wedding, she was gone, and then she did her speech, and then never saw her really after that.
Wait, and she's with this guy? Is she dating this guy?
She'd be getting fingered by the photographer in the gazebo or something.
There's definitely some history.
Is there anything major that she missed out on? I mean, you're the one who got married.
That's true. I think I just more or less just wanted her there, and now I'm like, do I bring it up, or is it not that?
You're basically resentful. By the way, Austin, your vibe couldn't be stronger. Of my wife listens to this podcast. I'm just here as a supportive man.
I'll be honest. I was just letting her take lead. We both listened to you guys for like years and years and years. Before we even met, Catcher in the Rye was my favorite book for like 3 years. So.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, I like your vibe. I like your vibe much better now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
wait, but I like that he knows how many years your book was his favorite book.
Yeah, I read Flowers for Algernon and it got knocked off. Sorry.
Wait, what's the best one now? What do you got? I need a new book.
God, I'm reading Brand New World right now. Is it Brave New World or Brand New World? I started it yesterday. I'm a chapter.
Brave New
It's
World.
a classic, and it's called Brave New World.
Hey,
by
you know
Aldous
what?
Huxley.
It's a brand new book, so he can be forgiven for
I
not
bought
knowing
it
the
a year and
title.
a half ago because I'm really good with time apparently, and it's been sitting on the book.
Is that the one where they drink like this weird kind of
Wait,
milk?
Don't.
No, it's in the first
Are you talking
chapter.
about Soylent Green?
No, it's like they drink some kind of sedative, the masses.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like-
kind of like that. And I'm only
called
a chapter in, and
okay.
basically they just go into depth about how they can like make twins out of embryos, and that's the entire first chapter.
I want to read that book again.
I have to put a stop to this conversation. Now that we've gone through the reading habits of Austin, at one point they were really good, and then now he's doing pulp trash. But Tylee, you're resentful that your best friend missed most of your big day because she was chasing photographer ass, and you are trying to figure out whether or not you should confront her about that.
I have a very important question.
Yeah.
Of course.
How were the wedding pictures?
Don't know if he got any, really.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, he was hired to do a job, and so.
Well, it was free, but yeah.
Oh, well, but is that pictures of your wedding is important.
I agree. It's also one of those funny things that we're like, well, I didn't see him much, so I don't know how. She said they're being made into like a coffee book, so we'll see.
What? No, don't have someone make pictures that you haven't picked. You need to get. What? This is a bad idea. Like
But
this.
wait, the question's
No,
not.
I know, but hold on. This was all because this is going to be part of it.
Okay.
She should get a sheet of pictures so she can choose the ones that she wants on her
He
coffee
wasn't
table
our
book.
only photographer. We actually had a real photographer, and he was there for like film prints where he has to like
Okay, so
like,
you
get 'em developed.
basically let your friend bring her photographer as a date. And was she coming back? Like, was she like straight up having fun with him in the grounds and then coming back? Or she was just like gone the whole time?
She was kind of just gone.
She was MIA.
Yeah. It didn't like negate how much fun we had. But it was one of those things where you're like, where'd you go?
This is easy to me. How was your wedding?
It was great.
You had a great time?
Yeah.
And it's only in doing the forensics on your wedding that you've realized where the hell was Julia or whatever?
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things too where she's a long distance friend too, and we were very close when she lived here, and then it was kind of like I haven't seen her much since.
This is easy.
And she might be going through something.
This is easy. You just move on. You chalk this. You know what her vibe is. You now know more information about your friend. You can make decisions.
But what's the information?
That her
she's
friend
rude?
is the kind of person that's going to chase around a boy rather than be there for her dear friend on her wedding day. That's information. You can move forward with that information, and it can inform how close you are with that friend moving forward. But what's the point of the conversation? What do you hope to achieve? That she will be cooler at your next wedding? It's like, it's too late.
I don't know. I just feel like I do feel resentful, and I think, but I'm also such a chronic people pleaser where I'm like, I could just never say anything. I could just let it go.
We were just talking about this.
We were just talking about people pleasing. Okay, my advice has adjusted slightly now that I hear what do you think, Todd?
Well, because I'm thinking I've got one friend in particular who's like the opposite of a people pleaser, and she just has really good boundaries, and she always says what she wants, and if she doesn't want to eat something, she would never split it with you. She, does her own thing, and everyone respects it. She would never not say something about this kind of behavior because she's just got so many boundaries and so much respect for herself and therapy background that she would just be like, hey, that really upset me. Or, she would definitely say something.
Yes. I take back what I said. I'm thinking back to like 50,000 conversations I've had with my old AA sponsor, who would always say the same thing when I would come to him with a thing like this, is like, what do you want out of this relationship moving forward? Do you want to be close to this person, and would not having this conversation get in the way of you being close to this person? Or do you want to just scold them for not being a good friend and sort of get them a little bit further out of your life? If it's option A,
or get them to apologize and be like, sorry, queen, it was your day.
If it's option A, to me, it's worth it. If your relationship is important and you want to improve the relationship, and you will not be able to improve the relationship until you tell them, I was just a little bit bummed because I felt like you were sort of absent at my wedding, that's worth it. If it's option B, which is, I learned who she really is, I don't really want to be that close with her, but I do want to tell her what an asshole she is on my way out of the relationship, it's kind of like, what's the point? Assholes aren't going to change because of a stern talking to. Why do you want to have this conversation? What do you hope to gain out of it?
I think we've just been like such close friends for over a decade, and we used to be roommates, and I see her as like a sister. Like, we're very involved in like our families as well. And I think sometimes sisters kind of let you down, and that's just the nature of having siblings as well. But I feel like I should bring it up because I'm probably just going to hold on to this resentment and then have it bubble over someday, and then just be upset or just ghost her out of nowhere because I don't want to have this tough conversation.
So you don't care about her that much?
No, she does. How did you get that out of what she just said?
Oh, so you are going to say something.
Wait, Natasha, what's wrong with you? She goes, she's like a sister to me. And you're like, I see. So you don't care about her that much?
No, I'm sorry. To be honest, it's so crazy what you're saying, because I was a little lost in thought because I was just talking about this, saying that I was reading this book about people pleasing, and they said if you have to make a decision between resentment and guilt, you should always pick guilt. And, maybe it's better to feel guilty that you did that, or guilty that you took that, or, made that about you, or whatever it is, than harbor resentment. Because when you harbor resentment, it actually can have some physiological repercussions. In terms of like, just not being at your optimum self.
Yeah.
Energetically. because resentment is a thing. It permeates.
The book is basically saying if you swallow resentment and don't say anything and be a people pleaser over a long enough period of time, it can do actual physical harm to your body. And so right? Am I right?
I mean, that's what the book says. Maybe it's controversial opinion. They talk about that there's psychological profiles for people with certain diseases, and that, in Western medicine, we never really treat like any kind of mental or thought-based, part of the disease. And it's just the physicalness of it, taking
honey,
it out.
I mean, this is all good, and I think you should take this seriously, but I do want to remind you, we have an ad read for Pfizer today. So I love Western medicine. I just want to say that.
This is why. Let me just tell you guys why I like this idea is because if I can convince myself that my people pleasing could actually make me ill, it would help me. Like they said, like some whopping number of people with MS are super nice. Overly nice. And the nurses even like fill it out in their like profiles, like when they're taking care of them in the hospital. And this book has like 2 whole chapters on it. And it was just kind of fascinating. Just even the thought of it for myself can help me, because it's hard because you kind of feel superior when you're people pleasing, because you're kind of like, you know what? I care about these people so much that, I actually do put their needs above mine. And that is like very saintly in a way. The sanctity of what I do. And, then it's like, well, or is it just that you have fear, or you have like something from childhood that's preventing you from saying what you want, And I think there's an energy into saying what you want and being, when you see those people, like we got a massage the other day and I was like, that woman was just vibrating on a higher level than me. But you could tell it's like, it's from probably her lifestyle and her thoughts.
That is really fascinating. I've never heard it discussed like that people pleasing is in some ways an expression of ego, in a way, of like hero complex. And it just, in analyzing your personality, it makes so much sense because you're so narcissistic. And people, like, it totally clicked from... No, I'm just kidding about that last part. But that's such an interesting idea. So we're saying from 2 different perspectives, Tylee, that it's a yes to have the conversation. I'm saying from a relational perspective, you can't move forward in this relationship with this woman who is like a sister to you without clearing the air and saying, that I felt a little let down. I wish you'd been there for me on my big day. And I want to make sure that I say that because I want us to be close. And Natasha's saying, tell me if I'm wrong, that you should do it not only because it's good for your relationship with her, but because it's good for your relationship with yourself. It's good in all ways. We support this conversation, I think.
Yeah, and I recently had kind of a friendship breakup before the wedding too, just because kind of harboring resentment, and then it kind of just blew up. So I think I'm also afraid of that happening again, because she is a very important person in my life, but we are kind of going on separate paths now.
And that's okay too. But, I think that just you clearly care about your friends because you're calling a relationship podcast a month after your wedding, So why don't you guys just go in the other room and fuck?
Yeah,
have that conversation.
Great idea. That's a good idea. Austin, we got your back, brother.
Thanks, guys.
No, but you know what they used to say about resentment in 12-step stuff is resentment is drinking poison expecting the other person to die. And it comports directly to what you're saying about what it does to you. Resentment poisons you. It definitely doesn't do anything to the other person. So yes, clear the air. Yes, read Casher and the Rye again, Austin, and compare it to Brave New World.
And yes,
Gladly.
please yourself.
Yeah, please yourself. Oh, and yes, come to the Endless Honeymoon podcast live show at the Polaris Hall on July the 16th. Oh, you guys are already way ahead of us. All right, we'll see you there.
We haven't missed one yet.
Heck yeah, you're awesome.
Bye, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Well, they were sweet.
They really were.
And that was profound what you said.
Thanks.
I never thought of it in that way, that people, and totally makes sense. In some ways, like the more I think about this stuff, the more I think everything comes down to ego. Every personality, like weakness, other than like brain chemistry imbalances, everything's about ego. Narcissism is very easy to see. That's about ego because it's the most clear expression of ego.
Right.
But insecurity is obviously ego. And people pleasing is obviously ego. Sensitivity, which is something that I struggle with, being overly sensitive is about ego. Who would talk to me like that? Why would you speak to me like that? It's all the more I think about it, the more I'm like, everything is just you battling your own fucking ego. Anyway, Pfizer is a corporation that cares about you and your bones. Try Globlavi. Globlavi for bone density.
Listen, I really like this book. It's called The Body Says No by Gabor.
Oh,
that his
Gabor
last name?
Mate? Oh, that's who it is.
Do you know?
Gabor Mate.
Is that who it is?
If it is who it is, I'm not reading the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, he's an interesting guy. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to say about ADHD.
It must be controversial.
I don't know. He might be controversial because he's a bit off the beaten path with certain things. In terms of child rearing, in terms of child trauma, in terms of ADHD, in terms of addiction, a lot of the stuff.
What does he say about ADHD?
I can't say. I know that he has a very dubious relationship with the concept of, I could be wrong about this, of addiction as a permanent state of being. And he thinks of it, I think I could be wrong about this too. He thinks of it as a response usually to trauma.
That because of the time period where you got addicted, it was trauma brought you to the...
I feel like I'm just talking out of my ass right now because it's mostly in Instagram reels that I'm trying to call back up. Natasha.
Yes.
Let's move on from the ego into the ego subjugation of the Secrets Hotline.
Let's do it.
Hey, Natasha.
Yes, Moshe.
As we head out on tour in our RV, I'm looking forward to all the shows. But you know what I'm not looking forward to?
What's that now?
Sleeping on a mattress that isn't a Helix.
Oh my God, that's going to be so hard.
It is, though. I have gotten rid of my back pain thanks to my Helix mattress.
That is true.
And you have gotten rid of night sweats.
Oh my God. I'm going to sweat this whole trip.
I don't know. We'll be in an RV in the woods, so maybe it'll be kind of cool. But if you would like to sleep cool, pain-free, or just make a unbelievably comfortable choice, go to helixsleep.com/honeymoon and you will get a very special offer, which is...
They're having a summer sale June 2nd to June 12th, 2025 for 20% off site-wide.
That's 20% off a brand new mattress that is made for your sleep needs. All you got to do is go to helixsleep.com/honeymoon.
That's helixsleep.com/honeymoon.
For 20% off site-wide. And make sure you enter our show's name after checkout so that they know we sent you.
helixsleep.com/honeymoon.
Hey, Tosh.
Yeah, Moshe.
Would you like a huge big gulp of corn syrup-addled soda that would go right into your veins and give you all kinds of problems?
Not really.
Okay, what about a soda that's got 6 grams of fiber and is made with real fruit juice?
You're saying fiber in a soda pop?
That's right. It's interesting you call it soda pop because it's called Simply Pop.
Simply Pop is a new fruit-forward beverage of prebiotic sodas made with 6 grams of prebiotic fiber to support your gut health, vitamin C, and zinc to support immune function.
Did I mention it's got juice? It's got juice. Soda Pop just got juicy.
There are 5 flavors: pineapple mango, lime, strawberry, citrus punch, and Moshe's favorite, fruit punch.
I love fruit punch. But I don't do it anymore because it's got all that nasty stuff in it. Not with Simply Pop. It supports gut health with 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. Prebiotics. It's got that zinc, it's got that C, and it's got that flavor. Simply Pop is flavor that pops.
Go to cokeurl.com/simplypop to find out where you can try Simply Pop.
Get on that juice. Find out where you can try Simply Pop at cokeurl.com/simplypop.
For flavor that pops, the Endless Honeymoon podcast chooses Simply Pop. Go to cokeurl.com/simplypop to find out where you can try it.
Hey, Moshe. Hey, Natasha. I'm calling with a secret about my intergenerational wealth. So just for some quick context, my grandpa was a great guy. He was born in the Brooklyn tenement to very poor Jewish immigrant, Yiddish-speaking parents. he fought in World War II right after high school, came home, began working as a fish salesman, and did that until, like his late 80s. And because he worked so hard and was so frugal, he basically lived the American dream. He bought a nice apartment, put his daughters through college, and when he died, he left behind a pretty impressive inheritance, including my stock portfolio, which is between like $150,000 and $200,000. The issue, though, is a lot of that stock is in companies like, Bank of America, which is obviously an evil corporation that, funds fossil fuel extraction projects all over the world, and also in Boeing, which, creates weapons that are used to kill millions and millions of people. I like to think of myself as a pretty politically progressive guy. I work in environmental policy. I volunteer in my community. I donate to Gaza food aid and whatnot. And so, I know the right thing to do is to sell this stock and give the money away to a good cause. But I also know that I'm never going to do that, because if I did, I probably won't be able to buy a house in any of the places that I want to live. And, I don't think my grandpa fought the Nazis and then worked for the rest of his life. So his grandson to rent a shitty apartment for the rest of his life. At least that's how I like to rationalize it. Anyways, I love you guys. Love the pod. Thanks for listening.
Well, under his premise, any company that does anything wrong, he doesn't, it's like he could also transfer those stocks.
Well, I'm just a little uncomfortable with that secret, and this is going to come. I mean, this is a crazy coincidence, but our three advertisers on this episode are Pfizer, Bank of America, and Boeing. Boeing. If you like drones, you'll love Boeing. No, yeah, I was laughing, by the way, during his thing, because I feel like rich people always have this like poverty narrative. It's never like, dude, my family's fucking rich, dog. It's always like, my grandfather with only one finger on the left hand came over from Latvia, and he scraped and grimed until finally the funds were put into the bank. But you're right, Natasha. There is a third option between taking everything out and donating it to Gaza and keeping everything in an immoral stock portfolio, which is finding a bank. And there are banks out there that do this, that will give you ethical investment, and you can decide.
I have things in the stock market, and I'm assuming some of them are like really bad companies. What's it called? Like when you kind of get a bunch, you get like a bunch out of one big stock. It's like diversifying, but it's like you get like a big, like they I don't know. You like, but
I think it's called Sleeping with the Devil. Is that right?
I don't know that much about it, and I don't have much money. But I was like, sure, take this small amount.
You give them. You're doing the poverty thing. You're doing the thing. Take this small amount that came over from Ellis Island and invest it. Oh, it's barely anything. It's a pittance.
Reading Anderson Cooper's book about the Astors, you need to have 3 generations. Did I already talk about this?
Probably.
The first. You need to be 3 generations away from the people who got their hands dirty to create an aristocracy. So like this kid is like, I think his kids will be like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, first of all, you have $150,000 in the stock market. I would assuage your guilt about being a robber baron. But I did this. I'm trying to look it up right now because I did this show for Adam McKay that he does pretty regularly on climate change.
I did that too.
Yeah.
We should ask him what he thinks about that.
We should ask him on the podcast.
I'm so curious about like ethical stock market.
Well, the episode of Let's Not Die that I did for them, there was a guy on there. Main guest was this dude, and that's his whole. I wish I could find this guy. You know what?
We'll figure it out.
I'll put it in the show notes when I track down the guy's name. His whole thing is, what is the climate damage of your investments and how can you offset it? His whole thing is finding more ethical investments. Not everybody's privileged enough to have any investments at all, but if you are, and you're feeling guilty about the ultimate ethical quandary that is being in a capitalist system. Because in some ways, yes, there are, as they say, the cliche is, there are no ethical choices in capitalism, but there probably are more ethical choices in capitalism. And there are possibilities of putting your money in a bank that does invest for you, maybe not at the highest yield in the universe, but at a high enough yield to justify you keeping your money in the market, but without investing in companies that make you feel ethically fraught, like Boeing, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or for me, Eastern medicine. Any Eastern medicine, I'm out. I'm only doing Western from now on. Pfizer. It's just a great company, and they care about your blood.
Well, listen, I probably have money in some terrible company.
Well, that's the real...
I thought like AI, like put money in AI.
Well, that's the real mind fuck of this whole thing, is that even if you think you're doing the right thing, inevitably your money is going to something unethical. There's no way out of it. There is no way out of it. The only thing you can do is do your best, and I don't even know if we're doing our best, but you can do a little better.
I have friends who are extremely politically active who invest in the stock market.
Yeah.
I would love to ask them, because the thing is, yeah, you make the money. And then I always think in my head, well, then if I spend it on my daughter going to school or something, to try to make the world better. I don't know, but it's not that I'm, what if you make the money and then put it into things that can make the world better?
I mean, the question
like
really
your
is
infinity hot tub or whatever.
Well, obviously, if you have money, taking all of your money and donating it to a good cause, that's a good thing to do. But it's not
realistic.
It's not a realistic thing to do. You can't impoverish yourselves so that you can put a drop in the bucket of global need. But what you can do is make a slight improvement in the ethical nature of your of what you do with your money. And by the way, this isn't just for rich people. If you are a 9 to 5 paycheck to paycheck person, and your money is your bank account is with Wells Fargo, there are better banks that you can bank with that serve the same function, local credit unions, neighborhood credit unions, neighborhood banks that don't invest in this. There are choices that people on every level of financial strata can make to make their financial, climate, and ethical footprint smaller and less laden.
Question. And what if you still then donate your money, but you still buy on Amazon? What about your furniture in your house and your clothes that you wear? Are they ethically sourced or are they from Temu? I mean, it's like your food. Did any sort of bigotry go into the way that everything that you own is made? Right.
Did you buy from the Trader Joe's ethnic collection where it's like Trader Jose's?
I'm just saying, then it starts to be like every single little thing.
But this is where you get into the conversation about there not being any truly ethical choices under capitalism. And I think that that's true. And I think that self-flagellation about...
No, people-pleasing or ethical choices.
Well, I think self-flagellation about the ethical possibilities of an ethical breach within your, the long daisy chain of your financial expenditures is a sort of pointless endeavor. What it is it's guilt. But you've been making an articulated defense of guilt this whole episode. But in this case, I think it's sort of useless guilt. It's a lot better for you to say, how can I'm a big proponent of this. What is the positive possibility that I can do, rather than analyzing the negative thing that I have done? Okay, we're all fucked. My clothes have fabric in them that the slave labor put together. Well, moving forward, how can I get more ethically sourced materials? Moving forward, how can I invest in a more ethical way? There are choices that can be made that are not about beating yourself up because you're stuck under the weight of a system that is fundamentally unethical. And I really believe that the onus of the consumer for ethical choices is mostly symbolic, and that real change has to happen. Why are we talking about this? Are we a stupid comedy podcast? Systemic level, yes.
I just think that money is like, I don't have maybe that much respect for money, and I think that, yes, you take your money, but you make money, you get the money. There's no ethical way to even get the money, is there?
Well, I have
mean,
always said
I feel guilty when I do a game show and they give me money to do that. It seems weird. But my point is, what's really important is how you treat other people. To me, that is like the commerce that I try to emit, as opposed to worrying about, oh my God, I got $50,000 on Amazon. Should I sell that? And try to find a more ethical. And then we find out that, oh, that actually they did this wrong and everyone's doing something wrong. But the only thing you can really control is yourself. And how can you be nice to everybody and nice in a way that's organic and try to like uplift as opposed to not.
But I
with your personality. It's called interpersonal environmentalism. I invented it.
So you're saying that you emit such a positive radiance from your personality that it offsets your need to do anything ethical with your money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do that then, caller. Just be cool. Be real nice. And when your partner leaves their socks in a place that they don't belong, let it go. Don't even mention it. Don't bring it up on a podcast.
I want to do ethical stuff with my money. I'm just saying, it's like, okay, what's the if I want to live in this life, it is very hard to like not use Amazon.
It's hard to impossible.
BP or I don't know, like
it's hard to impossible to never make a mistake or an ethical breach with your money. And I think that the person calling, and to everybody listening, from the poorest to the richest, has the option of doing a slightly more ethical version of what they do with their money. Do you have another thing to say, Natasha?
Well, I just think like, even if you do take your money and put it in a credit union, everything's still going to go to hell.
Well,
it's
quote?
Like there's already too many rich people doing the opposite. So then part of me is like, what's the point? Like, just let them have their money.
Well, that's what I was saying. Well,
I'll try to control myself.
I have two thoughts on that. That's what I was saying, that I think there's an overemphasis on consumer choices that is kind of a big flim-flam job from the corporate environment that we live in, that actually if you recycle and you take your money out of this investment, that you can really make a difference, when in fact, you know, there are too many individuals with too many warring instincts and too many dire direct financial needs to ever have individual investment choices or recycling choices or climate choices make a material impact. And the real only way forward is for there to be sweeping systemic change within the way that we do business.
But
yes, that's true.
But then we need to convince the companies of being, you know, they need to be shamed. So then they make a difference. So if we're not shaming the companies, how else do we know how to shame the companies?
On the other hand, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That you know, if you're both not taking your money out of unethical investments and you're not doing any kind of activism to try to change it, then really it's not that you could make a difference and change the world, but you really have chosen to give up and just do whatever. Listen,
activism's hard and it's not really good for a mother.
And also, I'm not suggesting that I'm the most ethical person with any of these things. I fall down on this stuff all the time. I do think, however, that don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good should be the law of the land. And so if you see like, for example, Natasha, if you got an offer to do a corporate gig for Blackwater, the military mercenary organization that decimated Iraq, would you do it?
How much was it? And is it like the ladies division?
Okay.
What if it's like...
No, Natasha, the answer is no. There are things that for example...
But there's bad stuff in everything.
No, but there's worse stuff.
I'm sure I've done a corporate for a bank.
There's worse stuff in specific things. Right? Like, there are worse and better things. There are worse companies in the world, and there are corporate gigs that you could get offered where you go, absolutely not.
Like, one corporation was responsible for the death of 2 children, but another one was responsible for the death of like 500,000 children.
I guess. I don't know. We're in a zone where I feel like we're barely making sense.
Well, you know what? I think that we should have an expert on, because I'm curious about all this
stuff. I agree.
Stuff.
In fact,
and I feel
we'll have this expert, the guy that I'm talking about.
Okay, great.
If I could remember his fucking name.
Well, because I want to learn what to do. And when I say it's hard to be an activist as a mom, I'm just saying sometimes it feels dangerous out there.
Right.
And, you know, and am I supposed to go to the streets with my kid? Like, people are getting, you know, there's arrests, there's violence. It sometimes at events.
We're getting off track, but I agree with you, Natasha. We should have this expert on. We will do that. Your secret has inspired us in a very short order. We will have this expert on ethical investment on our podcast. We are nothing if not an investment-centered podcast. So coming to you very soon, ethical investment tips from a person whose name I cannot fucking remember, but I will be remembering it soon.
Well, we'll get Adam McKay on too.
We'll have them both on. You know whose name I do remember?
Who's that?
Yours, Natasha, and I love it, and you.
I love it, you too.